I see this happen all the time with my clients about not having a clear exit strategy, not having a clear way for them to step out of their business. Jaime, welcome to Hatcher. Thought you were the perfect person for me to have the conversation with. So, give a rundown for the Hatcher team of, what you do, who you are, and how you can help us.
Jaime Almond, and I'm an exit advisor. So I work with business owners who are either wanting to step away from their business or sell their business. Most businesses grow organically around the owner. And so there's a different strategy and a different way to set up a business that's engineered to run without you rather than depend on you. And so the program that I've partnered with Gary on is one where we're taking a systematic approach to recreating a business to be engineered to not depend on the owner. So it runs without you, it grows without you, and then you do have that option to step away or to sell it. And when it comes to selling, people want to buy businesses that they don't have to work on. The more heavily owner dependent the business is, the harder it is to sell because people want to buy assets. They don't necessarily want to buy jobs.
And I think that's really important there is that, the whole point is to give people that freedom of choice, that they build the business in a way that it's less stressful and can operate without them if they choose to, right? That's their choice. And therefore it's a sellable asset. Because time and time again, people come to me and they come to you because we have this conversation and people always are like, Gary, I want to sell my business. I'm like, yeah, fantastic. That's a 1-2 year journey then.
Yeah.
No, I want to sell it today. I'm like, yeah, it's a 1 or 2 year journey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then they end up selling it for really, not the price that they wanted to do it because they left it too late, and they're not so happy with the outcome that they achieve when they don't take the right strategy and approach to it.
Correct. And or they don't sell at all. Like, for example, a mutual client that Gary and I are working on, they got a valuation of $1.25 million and they are taking home $500,000 a year. So for them, they're like, why would I sell this when in 3 years I will have made the same money myself anyway?
Yep.
And I will continue to make that money. So even though they're burned out, which is one of the reasons a lot of people want to sell their business, it's actually the way that the business has been set up versus actually not liking the business as much, because once we can start alleviating some of the pressures that are making them burned out, they actually start liking their businesses again.
And I think that's why you've designed the program, right? To have the 4 key frameworks being finance, operation, growth, and the owner.
Finance always comes first. It's the lifeblood of the business. Obviously, if there's no money, then we can't do anything. One thing that we found is a lot of businesses aren't forecasting. They're not looking at what's going to be happening in the future and planning for that. So we started working our way backwards about looking at how much money do you either want when you're stepping away from the business, or how much money do you want if you're going to sell the business? And that way we can reverse engineer it and we can look at realistic timelines and decisions. Like sometimes, another mutual client of ours wants a $20 million exit in 5 years. That realistically meant that they would have to acquire 2 or 3 businesses in that timeline to make that happen. Finance is about having a reality check on what's going on, what's going to happen, and how we can build towards those goals. Then there's the operational side of things, making sure that your team is going to be running in a way that they're accountable, that they have autonomy, and there's systems in place. And in some cases, in the age of this AI, there's a lot of busy work happening in a business that can be automated. And this is the perfect time to be looking at that. I was talking with a business owner yesterday who reduced his team from 9 to 2.
Wow.
And they were able to reduce their expenses by $900,000 by custom designing their own software, which took them 2 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
So there are strategies that you can be using that can help improve your operations, but also make your team run better. And it's not necessarily about getting rid of staff. It's about making sure that everyone on the team is not wasting time.
Yep. Yeah. Then from a growth perspective,
a lot of businesses, the growth depends on the owner, on the owner's reputation. The owner might be the best salesperson in the company. So that's something that we need to look at. Do they have their marketing system set up and sales system set up? How much is the business depending on the owner and that factor, and then working to transfer that to a more sustainable, less dependent model.
And obviously the number one driver of most small businesses, especially in Australia, most small businesses, is going to be the owner and the founders. The fourth key pillar is working on the founder.
It does depend a little bit owner to owner, but one of the biggest things that I hear is there's no good staff. So owners have tried in the past to hire someone to replace them, but either haven't hired the right people because maybe it's about budget, or maybe they're not experienced in onboarding people, learning how to delegate in a way that builds their confidence, and having trial step back periods. And so you can begin to test whether or not everything's working together.
Always about results. You'll see everything that I do, I like to have KPIs, and I like something to be able to measure everything by. And this is why the first 90 days and having an exit pathway. So focusing on exit fundamentals, focusing on doing a blue sky workshop, exit pathway mapping, and really building owner separation and stability inside their business. How do you feel the first 90 days of the program should run, and what can people expect from it?
In the first month, we're really going to be doing the overall exit assessment, seeing where people are and mapping where they want to go. So that blue sky workshop you mentioned, where do we want to go and how do we backwards engineer it? Into month 2 and 3, we're beginning to remove the owner as a bottleneck, and we want to make sure that we can measurably reduce it. It's active and not theoretical, because it's very easy for you to give someone advice and say, you have to step back, but making sure that you can do that in a way where you have the advisors, myself and Gary, and also we have operations officer, and his name's Ben, and he is extremely experienced in putting these systems in place so owners can step back. And that way, at the end of the 90 days, depending on how ingrained you are in your business, you're going to have experience stepping back a little bit, and maybe a lot, but it's not finished, but you won't as stuck.
Hatcher went from zero revenue to over $6 million in 10 years, right? And we've built up quite a large team. People email me. Sometimes they feel like I'm the bottleneck, just like I've done in my team. You've got to be able to delegate. You've got to be able to build the right team to support you and to support the business growth that the owner fundamentally wants. And I think it's really critical to have that right strategy around it. For better or worse, if you want to grow a business, you got to make sure that if there is a bottleneck, then it's intentionally removed. But we have to debrief it too, because, sometimes, and I've done it, I've made mistakes in the past with hiring team members that didn't work out. I removed a bottleneck, you still need to add a much, much bigger bottleneck. And, we learn and we grow from that, right? And I think this is where I've always even had to believe that, when we work with people, we're in partnership to help them grow, them expand, and to deal with the challenges that they're dealing with. Because if they grow, then we grow.
It's different to just working with you or working with me or working with a COO, because it's a holistic approach rather than a siloed approach. And that's what you need in your business. And a larger business, they have a CFO, they have a COO, they have a CEO, they have their C-suite, and smaller businesses can't afford that. And this is really your C-suite team.
I like using Hatcher as an example because we've had clients now for 10 years. So they've watched the journey. But as we build up a business, we're going to have external advisors, and then later we'll have internal advisors, and then we'll have external advisors again. When I create a new business, and I have several different businesses that I've created while running a Hatcher 100% of the time, is that I always then look to build the right team on those new businesses from day one. I don't want to operate that business personally. I need to be able to delegate to the right people who wear the right hats to get the right results. At the end of a 90-day period, the business should be clearer and we should be calmer environment. The owner is involved to the extent that they want to be involved in it. Mm-hmm. So they make that choice. Everyone knows I'm big on choices. Think about this, your hourly rate or your hourly costs of doing tasks that you shouldn't be doing. And then, I don't have time to do, quoting up that, $200,000 job that if I win will be amazing because I'm stuck doing my banking. So we really got to get the delegation right. And most importantly for me, we have that plan of attack. So therefore, decisions are intentional and not reactive. I hate seeing people make reactive emotional decisions rather than having an intentional idea around what they want to achieve over the next 90 days.
It's not that you necessarily are going to be stepping back completely from the business, stepping back from the things that are wasting your time and your energy that you could be using to work on the business. For example, Gus, the business owner that I was talking about, he couldn't have spent 2 weeks working on building a software solution for his business had he been having to do operations. Then you need the brain space and the time and the energy to be able to think about what are the biggest problems in my business and what are the best ways that we can solve them.
I currently have 3 businesses that do over $1 million in profit per year, obviously building my 4th one as I speak. The only reason I've achieved what I've achieved is because I spend a lot of time in personal development, getting the right advice from the right people, and then I implement it. If you want to be abnormal and run a very successful business, because that is abnormal, then you need to do something that most people aren't doing. Most people work their 9 to 5 and don't put in that extra effort. I've worked with you for a long time now, and I know that you may bug me outside of hours, and I definitely bug you outside of hours or outside of normal work hours. That's what it takes. You have to be obsessed with business. That's not an easy thing, but some people want to achieve an amazing results, while other people are happy with average, and average is okay. But I love it if every one of the people that I work with wanted to achieve something special so that in the next 5-10 years, they never have to worry about money again. And that's what business success looks like.
You said that it's abnormal to have that level of success. Well, we know that that's true. Only 7% of businesses in Australia make over $2 million. And how many of those that the owner is independent of it or they have the choice of whether to sell, it's going to be a lot smaller number.
You might have been in business for 5 years and you're just not hitting the mark that you want to be hitting. Maybe you need to do something different. Doesn't mean you do business different, but maybe you need to start tweaking internally how you do things and look at the different resources, look at time. Do I need to expand or do I need to subtract? One of my favorite clients, they own 3 trade retail stores. And unfortunately, the first thing that I did was I went in and we shut down 2 of them. That was hard.
Yeah, I've had that conversation twice with people in the last week where they have an arm of their business that's taking up all of their energy and burning them out and making them want to sell. And then they have this other arm of their business, which is profitable, easy, but their identity is wrapped up in the one that is draining them. Yep. And so, it's not only about having those hard conversations. Sometimes you can't see the forest from the trees, right? They're just in the day-to-day grind. And that's where having outside advisors look at the business with our shared clients. Gary and I are always talking about what's best for that client, right? We check with each other to make sure we're on the same page, which we always are. But we're always talking about how they can move forward in a way that's going to get them to their goals.
So we all know that I'm biased. One thing that I think is the biggest way of learning is, previously I used to be a part of a mastermind group and we did the mastermind. But the problem with the mastermind was people intentionally or unintentionally lied about the numbers. And as an accountant, I'd be like, that doesn't make sense for whatever reasons. And then later I would find out because they would let me, see their files and it didn't make sense. And it means I just wasted half an hour in a mastermind with incorrect data to make an incorrect assessments to try to support someone. So one thing that we've done, and again, I'm biased, so I agree, but I think it's going to be the most impactful part is that we have a session where we run through one of the members' financials so the whole group can learn from it because we all need to learn. Some things that I do at Hatcher is because I learned automotive business does something really, really well and I've stolen that concept.
I love doing that. Stealing concepts from other industries and applying it to your own industry can be one of the most effective ways to grow because it's a way that no one in your industry is thinking.
Yeah, most importantly, the intake that we're looking at here, we're going to have a maximum of 15 business owners. So, I'm busy, Jamie's busy. We've decided that we only want to take 15 or want to work with 15 new people for this. That's it. There'll be a link below that you can click on to read some more information, get some more information, and then have a chat with the team about it all. And you can reach out, ask any questions, and we can work through if this will be right fit for you and your business. Most importantly, I'm only going to work with 15 people. So once we're full. And I do apologize for that, everyone, but it doesn't make financial sense to roll this out to 100 people because it's such a big time commitment.
It's going to be really fun.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about it. Click the link below. Jump in, have a look, and we'll go from there.